Welcome to another Figuring Out Japan video, and in this video I will be looking at this amazing set, which is the Black Seas Barracuda, also known ironically as the Dark Shark, because it's not a particularly dark ship, nor does it come with a shark, but it did have two names, and this defined what a Lego pirate ship is. It was the very first ship that, or at least pirate ship that Lego released, and it was a big deal when it came out. I mean, this was an iconic set. Even when it came out in 1989, it really raised the bar for what Lego could do. It has about 900 pieces, which in today's standards is pretty small, but I can tell you, going back 25 years ago, this just blew people's minds. And, you know, I think you'll agree, even 25 years later, it still looks like an amazing set. Now, this actually, as a kid, I just wanted this set so bad, and I had the catalog. And you know, if I could summarize my childhood in one image or one item, it would be this tiny bit of paper in this catalog, and I would just sort of imagine the whole scenes playing out in that. I don't know, maybe I was just a nerdy kid, but my parents just could never buy it. It was such an expensive set. I mean, even if you got the Caribbean Clipper as a kid, or the Eldorado Fortress as a kid, you were doing pretty well. And you know, it was just a very expensive set. And you know, I never got it. It actually was a prize in a raffle one year at my school, but unfortunately I didn't win. And about 10 years later, I was walking into Toys R Us because I was getting into Dragon Ball Z around that time, and there it was. It was just there. It was. You could buy it, and so of course I got it, and I remember I like nearly fainted in shock. So this is actually the re-released version of it. Now, as far as I know, and I'm willing to be corrected on this, but as far as I know, it is exactly the same as the original one that was released. The box is a little bit different, and I'll show you that at the end. But as far as I know, the set itself is exactly the same. But as I said, I am willing to be corrected on that. I mean, I don't know why Lego would change anything, frankly, because it's meant to be sort of in tribute or in homage to the original. And I think you guys will agree that, you know, this set is still inspiring the stuff of today, because this is the 2015 ship, which you'll notice looks pretty similar to the one released all those years ago. But let's get that out of the way and actually have a bit of a look inside this ship. So hopefully it's not too dark. So we'll start at the front of the ship. So this is the bow of the ship. So you have the figurehead at the front, and then this really nice bow. It's a bit dark to see there. So that looks really cool, and just the way that they did all this, just the nice sort of patterns, and the way this sticks on was very cool. Remember, Lego had never really built a ship sort of anything like this before, so that was really cool. And then we have this nice railing along here, and you do have a cannon, an anchor. I went blank there, and the string goes all the way into here, into this sort of rope. Sort of winch system is a bit hard to show, but maybe if I get him out. I do apologise for the dust. I was going to dust it for this. I know it's disgustingly dirty, but it actually kind of looks a bit like a ghost ship now, so I thought I might just leave it. So that goes into there, and you'll notice that there's this big sort of gaping hole in there, and I don't really know what that's supposed to be. I think there's nothing really in there, but this ship, and I'll continue to show this, it actually kind of has a mezzanine level. I think it'd be pushing it to call it a multi-layered ship, but the hatches, there's 4 hatches, all open up, and so, you know, you can put the minifigures in there. They could be sleeping, or, you know, if you were having a battle, maybe they could be hiding. So it does add to the play features of the set, but there isn't really any details in there, and it is pretty hard still to get, you know, the minifigures in and out. But anyway, and then as we move along in the deck here, you'll see that there's another access point into the lower levels, so there's these little sort of shutters, and that's what kind of leads me to believe at least that they were maybe sleeping quarters or something. So you can actually open them up, but there's nothing under the deck, and the minifigures can't stand there because it's just not tall enough. And you'll also see here that it does have 4 cannons, so you do actually get enough cannons for both sides. It's a complaint that a lot of people have with the newer sets, but this one you did actually get enough for both sides. These ones are actually the non-shooting type, which is why you see the crossed cannon design print on the top. And you also get these little compartments, which are like 3 sort of balcony, like fence pieces, and you get, as you can see, quite a lot. I think it's 16, so 4 each cannonballs, and they were black. They changed that to grey over the years, but the original Pirates series they used black for cannonballs. And then you get this plank, and that's just a single piece that sticks on, so nothing. Look at that. And then you have the covers here, and they can go down, and you do actually have one here as well, but I don't really know why, because there isn't a cannon there, but maybe it was like an intimidation tactic or something. It looks like they've got more firepower than they really do. And it's exactly the same on the other side. I should have said this ship is actually, it's entirely symmetrical along the whatever you want to call it, along this axis going left to right, except for the plank here and the anchor. So that is a bit of a difference. You could have put the anchor through the other side if you wanted to, and display the ship the other way, with that on the right side and the bow of the ship on the left side if you wanted, and you could again just pick up the plank and move that on the other side. And then the other part here of the deck is pretty similar. Again, you get 2 hatches that you can open up, but there isn't really anything inside there. Now before we get into the cabin, I'll just show the ladders here. Sorry if the camera's moving around too much. So these were again new pieces for this particular line, and as well as the masts of the ship, and you can see they look pretty cool and was used in a lot of sets of this time. And you do have a couple of little platforms, I guess, at the top, and you also have this sort of crane system for the chest. Now this actually doesn't wind in and out like it does in the Skull's Eye Schooner, so the only way you kind of get height variation is by just moving this up and down, but you can see it doesn't really change much, and that just goes up and then goes down and is tied to that piece there. So actually that's another feature that would obviously be asymmetrical, but you can put that on the other side if you wanted to, and you do get a treasure chest in there. The other string goes from the front of the ship in this part and feeds all the way around, and I don't think Lego actually includes string in their newer pirate ships all the way to the end, so that's that feature. And you'll see the sails are red and white. It seems to be a common theme. A lot of the ships over the years have had this red and white colour scheme, probably because the first one was red and white. But one thing to note actually is this is the only Lego pirate ship that doesn't have a crossbone or a Jolly Roger, like the flag, printed on the sails. So none of the sails have any printing on them other than the red and the white, which I'm not saying is a bad thing. I'm just pointing that out, that all of the other ones have that. So let's now have a look at the main part of the cabin. So first you get these really nice wooden doors, double wooden doors on either side that open up, which is cool. And you have stairs going up to the upper deck and some nice lights there. Whoops, what did I wreck? bird. That's alright. And you've got Captain Roger, of course. Very nice open and wide deck here with the steering wheel. And this does not connect to the rudder. The Eye Schooner does, but this one doesn't. And the really cool thing about this upper deck is that you can just lift this up, and that bird's going to fall, but that's alright. And you can get inside of the cabin by that way. And then in addition, you can open the back part of the ship, which I'll show from a different angle in a sec. And you can open up all these doors and all the windows, so it's very easy to get into there. Not a lot of detail. It's probably best I show it from a different angle. So this was this is probably my favourite part of the ship. I think it looks great. These sort of cross-hatched windows. These are actually flowers in the really old Lego. These were actually flowers, but by putting them on an angle, you'll notice a lot of the pieces here just very standard. Even they used to hold the sails. They're just kind of standard pieces all combined together. Whereas now they tend to use more customized, larger pieces. But that just comes down, and you can see very clearly inside the ship. So yeah, not much detail at all. That doesn't bother me because you can't see it anyway. As an example, the 2010 Imperial flagship has 2 levels and so much detail, but it's all kind of hidden away and you can't see it. So you're paying all this money for all these pieces and features that you just can't see. And then you do get a rudder. It's pretty dark, and there's a couple more panels on the back of the ship. Let's see if we can get some light on that. There we go. So you can see that, and the rudder. Probably still can't see it too clearly, but anyway, light's falling. That's alright. So yeah, that's pretty much the features of the ship. I mean, I could talk about these for hours, but they're pretty much all the features of the set. I mean, in terms of what I think about this set, I mean, it's very hard for me to review this critically just because it was so far ahead of its time. It's still, an amazing set. I think, you can compare it to other sets that have been released afterwards. I mean, the Eye Schooner, for example, had racks on the back to put the little boat. The newer sets probably have better figureheads. They've got mermaids and swordfishes and things like that. I think if I really had to pick on one thing, I'd say it would have been nice to have got a crow's nest. And I think the reason they didn't include that was because these older sets, they really made it proper. So you didn't just kind of use your imagination and move figures up ladders and things. It was all properly done. So I think they thought, well, how do we actually get the figures from up here up to a crow's nest up here? And so rather than do that, they thought, well, maybe this is just good enough. But I guess that was a bit of a shame because all of the other sets after that didn't have that. Also, like for example, the 2015 one, you can actually pull in the plank and the minifigure falls off. There's a compartment under the cabin floor, which is a hidden chest. So they've made small improvements over the years, Lego. Also, they've added things like compasses in some of the sets released after this. But I think this still really just stands the test of time just so well. And it looks fantastic when you add it with other sets like the Eldorado Fortress. So very quickly now, let's just have a look at the box. I'm sure I've probably forgotten to mention some things, but I'll just put them in the description of this video. So you can see here the box I said was a bit different to the original because you can see here it actually says Legend and that information there about when the first one was released. It has the newer Lego logo. The old one has a yellow sash and it says Legoland in blue, and the set number is also unique to the re-release one. But everything else is pretty much the same, I think. I don't know about the back of it, but anyway, this is what the re-release one looks like. I'm also curious if all of the re-release ones actually had the non-shooting cannon, because in my country we never had the non-shooting ones. We would have had the shooting ones. So it's surprising that that one actually, this one came with the non-shooting one. So I'm interested if anyone else has the re-released version, whether theirs was also non-shooting. The other difference with this one is it actually doesn't have the flip top lid, which a lot of the older sets did. So I'll quickly show that on the Eldorado Fortress box. You can actually lift up the lid and it's got the story, but this one doesn't have that. It's just a box that lifts up. So I didn't want to make this video too long, it's already getting too long, but I actually forgot to mention the minifigures. So you actually get 8 minifigures in this one. So there's another 2, there's 5, and then 6. This is actually a female pirate. And I'm sure you've seen that one before. And then 7, and the guy in the little boat. And you do get a parrot, as we saw before, and you do get a monkey. So anything else I forgot to mention, I'll put my thoughts about this set in the description of this video.